Hello, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai, coming at you live with a video. Part 2, Traditional versus Modern. I told you I had something else I wanted to mention in the previous video, but it was already 20 minutes long, so I try to keep my videos under half an hour if I can avoid it. So, what I wanted to mention before was kind of a whole argument of this is not a katana thing. This is a katana. Well, technically a wakazaki, but we'll say katana for placeholder, and I don't want to keep having to revert back between the terms. But in any case, this is a katana. This is definitely a katana. Well, katana, but still. But this and this are two different forms of katana. And what I mean by that is the easiest way to explain it is if we take a look at Japanese history, the Sengoku Jidai versus the Edo period. And what I mean by that is the swords of the Sengoku Jidai and the Edo period. Now, I just so happen to have my training Tachi with me as well. But this isn't going to be used for video much. Now, as I said, the swords of the Sengoku Jidai of the Sengoku period and the swords of the Edo period are two very different things. I will be right back with said example. Now, this is the type of katana you would see in the Edo period. This is more of a Sengoku Jidai katana. Do you see the difference? The swords from the Sengoku Jidai were generally longer, bigger, and heavier. Warring States era. This is more of a tachi style sword, an katana, if you will. I mean, if I slap tachi fittings on this, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell it was an katana, but still. Katana, uchi katana, or just the regular katana we're all familiar with. But like I said, my crane katana is the Edo period, and this is the Sengoku Jidai. Just like with the modern katana, the swords of the Sengoku Jidai fit the purpose of which they were created in. You had a lot of battles on horseback. The tachi was a traditional cavalry sword and foot soldier sword in some instances, but mostly cavalry. But yeah. And once the Sengoku Jidai ended, the tachi swords fell out of use because they were swords made for war. They were made to fight off of horseback. And with war ending and peace and 300 years of peace being established, the samurai switched to much shorter blades, lighter blades, because they no longer needed the big war swords. All they needed were their everyday carry swords. And I would assume that if you were a samurai of the Edo period and you were still walking around with a tachi, you would get really strange looks and or laughed at. But it was the sword of the times. The tachi fell out of practice, and the uchi katana, or the katana we're all established with, came into times. Then with the whole abolishment of the sword of the samurai class in the 1870s and all that stuff, the kind of fell out of use in general, except for cutting competitions and the whole World War II thing, and that's a whole other subject. But in any case, the katana, you can obviously see, went from Tachi, Uchi katana, modern katana. Yes! It is of my belief that the samurai continued to flourish and were in the modern day they would use swords similar to this. Why is that? Simply put, it's the sword of the day. With any kind of warrior society, any kind of warrior mentality within a people, there will always be the element of wanting to use the best and newest thing. Okay? If you took a brick of 1095 steel back in time and told a swordsmith a Japanese swordsmith to forge a katana from it, he would forge a katana from it, and the 1095 blade would naturally outperform any of the swords of the day because it's a far superior steel of much, much, much higher quality in most instances. I mean, the Tamagani that can even come close to matching 1095 is the highest grade you can possibly get, and that was only given to like imperial or shogunate or swordsmiths that were forging swords for the shoguns or the shogun, the emperor, or some very wealthy daimyo. But in any case, just as the Tachi fell out of practice with the Uchi katana coming into the scene and the Edo period, so too would this honshu Boshin Wakazaki be picked up by a modern day samurai. Now, it probably wouldn't have the same kind of hilt, the same kind of hilt and the means of how it looks. It would probably be more traditionally shaped, but the components would still be there. You would have a modern sword being wielded by a modern warrior. It is the very thing that I am saying here, that the people who call this a katana, well, the people who are saying this is not a katana, are not looking at it through a warrior's eyes, through a swordsman's eyes. People who say that this is the traditional katana, this is what a katana should look like, it cannot look like anything else, it will not be a katana then. They're not looking at it through the eyes of a swordsman, through the eyes of a warrior. They're looking at it through the eyes of either a collector or a major weeboo who has more time than sense on their hands. I mean, no disrespect, I'm a major weeboo, otaku, nerd, all those things as well. But in any case, they're looking at it strictly through the lens that this is a katana. Nothing else can be katana. This is not katana because it is not in the right shape. This is not katana. This is katana. You'll see the difference? But let me just pop these two blades for a minute. Sorry, I had to clean rust off this one, so I'm a little looky-loo at it right now to make sure that rust isn't back on the blade. But now, look at these two blades. See the hilt's right here, but tell me, which one is not a katana? Tell me which one of these blades does not look like a katana's blade to you? You can't do it without looking at the hilts. And that's what I'm saying. If I was to take these swords and stick them through a cardboard box and ask someone to tell me which was a katana blade and which wasn't a katana blade, they would not be able to do it because they both look the same except for the hilt constructions. Okay? And like I said before, with the Dragon King Winter Sun Katana, okay? Again, tell me which blade doesn't look like a katana's blade until you see the hilts. Alright? The Dragon King Winter Sun Katana is an O-katana-like blade that fell out of practice once the Uchi Katana came into play. So like I said, with the Uchi Katana, the katana we're all used to seeing and everything, if the Edo period had continued, eventually the Uchi Katana would have to make way for the modern katana. And this is a katana blade. This is a katana. It's just a modern one that a modern day swordsman would use. Because, like I said earlier, it is all about the materials you use. Take this sword back to the Sengoku Jidai and give it and put it in the hands of a samurai, and then have him hold up his other sword, have him swing this around, cut with it, go through a battle with it, and I'm pretty sure that he will prefer this sword over his old sword by about an 80% margin. For the sole purpose, not because of the hilt construction, not because that this is a modern sword, glitz and glamoury, time travel logic. No. Because of the superior materials that the sword is made of from the time period. If the samurai class persisted, we would see samurai all over Japan wielding swords similar to this. Modern day swords. I damn well guarantee you that. There would still be those who would wear the traditional swords with the traditional fittings and everything, but they would be but the blades would be modern steel. Okay? Tamahagane is, in terms of steel, more for aesthetics than actual functionality, in the sense that it is nowhere near as sturdily controlled. It is nowhere near as durable as most of the modern day steels are. Now, it is certainly, I would go on the line here and say it's certainly more durable than 1045. Maybe even more durable than this 1060 steel blade, which I might be contradicting myself here a little bit, but hear me out. It all depends on, again, it boils down to heat treatment and tempering, but still. 1095, 1075, and definitely spring steels, like the 5160 Dragon King Winter Sun, would be far more superior than Tamahagane just because of the durability that they have. Now, with that in mind, and the Dragon King Winter Sun and even my crane katanas are perfect examples. They look like traditionally made swords, but they're both made out of modern steel. The crane is made out of 1045, the Dragon King is made out of 5160, and this honshu Boshin is made out of 1060. So, they all are modern steels, and this is a modern looking sword. And this one may look like it came straight out of the Sengoku. No, not the Sengoku. This one may look like it came straight out of the Edo period. But, again, swordsmen and warriors in general tend to want to get their hand on the best weapons that the technology of the time period that they live in can provide. And with modern steel and modern materials, you'd have swords like these wielded by modern day samurai. They can still have the traditional fittings, like I said, but the blades would still be modern steel. Alright? Modern, much more durably created steel that outshines a lot of the traditionally made steels of the day. So, to kind of conclude my rant a bit, I truly do believe that if the sword remained as prevalent as it once did even 200 years ago, that we would see modern swordsmen carrying swords like these more often than we would see them carrying swords like this, or even like this. Just simply because of the modern construction. And with these, as I said in my previous video, this grip is far more sturdily built than these grips. I know this grip is damn well more it's damn stronger than the crane katana because I've taken that thing apart multiple times to clean and sharpen it. But in any case, that's what I'm saying with these blades. Okay? In conclusion, as I said before, the reason why we would see swordsmen carrying modern day swords like these, modern day katanas like these, and for you pure traditionalists, if this sword was forged by a master Japanese swordsmith, the hell y'all wouldn't have a damn thing to say. Ooh, that's close. So, again, just because it's modern doesn't mean it ain't a katana. This is a katana. Well, Wakazaki, but in any case. The whole point of this argument is that this sword is a modern day sword. I'm having a brain fart here. But anyway, we would see swordsmen carrying these swords more often than we would see the traditionally constructed swords simply because of the durability difference. But I've rambled on enough, and this video is approaching another 20 minutes, so in my final words, if I was using a sword from just a moment, but as I said, if I had the choice between using a traditionally forged sword with a traditionally forged blade, or this modern sword with a modern forged blade, knowing the differences, I have to choose this one because in a life and death fight, after swinging this sword around for a few days, I trust its construction more than the traditionally made sword. Don't get me wrong, I like the traditionally made sword. I would feel more comfortable using a sword like this in a life or death fight than the traditionally made ones. I know that's probably not what you expected me to say, but still. Well, until next time, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai, tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe in using your weapons. Merry Christmas, even if this video doesn't get uploaded until after Christmas. I'm out. Peace.